What is up, New Life Church? Hey, thank you so much for tuning in for our online services. You are joining us now for a little bit of a pre-service hangout with me, the youth pastor, Pastor Ryan, and my good friend, Molly Erickson. What's up, Molly?
Morning. Hi.
It's a great morning. It is a great morning. Molly, just before we get too far into this pre-service hangout, would you like to explain why you and I are wearing Buc-ee's t-shirts, shorts, and chacos?
Other than the fact that we look great?
What? We do look pretty great.
It's car wash day.
It is car wash day. Woo, 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 woo.
And we are raising money for youth
what?
camp.
For youth camp. We are so excited because next weekend we are heading to youth camp. And today we are raising money for our students. It's going to be a great day. It's already been a great day.
We got these shirts at last year's youth camp.
Last year's youth camp, which was in
San Antonio,
Texas. It was a great trip. And for our online community, I'm actually going to ask everybody who is watching online to comment maybe some of your favorite camp memories, your favorite place that you've ever been to. It could be church camp, it could be regular camp. Just tell us about your experiences at camp. I don't know what emoji this would be because I'm not an emoji expert.
Here we go.
I'm not an emoji expert. But it would be pretty cool if, they summed up their entire camp experience in one emoji.
Or using emojis, a series of emojis.
It could be multiple emojis, because
a lot happens.
There's a lot that goes on at camp. There is a lot that happens at camp, especially at our New Life Youth Camp. So, Molly, real quick, what was your favorite, or one of your favorite camp memories? Just go ahead, let me know.
So there are a lot.
It's a lot.
This will be my 6th youth camp here,
Hashtag veteran.
So 2014, went to Smoky Mountains.
Ooh.
And I would say, so again, first youth trip experience. We had just started coming to the church earlier that year. Just kind of, newbies, right?
Easing into it.
So we had a scavenger hunt.
I love scavenger hunts personally.
And I can't remember the specific category. I think it was like a picture of something shocking or something, which could be I don't know.
Put a bunch of
Not
teenagers together
now.
and get a picture of something shocking.
But I ended up taking one of our kids into a tattoo parlor.
Oh, my.
And
is this who I think it was?
No.
No? Okay. Keep going.
And the tattoo artist was really great. So he let the students give him a tattoo so that we could take a picture of it.
That's pretty great.
For the scavenger hunt.
That is.
And so taking my first youth trip, I took a kid into a tattoo parlor.
And the kid gave the tattoo
a middle
artist,
schooler.
The middle schooler gave the tattoo artist a tattoo.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good one.
That's a great camp memory.
Yeah.
And if you're watching online and you're not super familiar, at New Life, our youth camps, we do them a little bit differently, where we actually take a trip to a certain location. We have camp. Now, my favorite youth camp memory, and it's not really fair because I've only been on one official youth camp, right? So my favorite youth camp memory was when we went to San Antonio, and I made sure that we stopped at every single Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's.
Now, if you don't know what Buc-ee's is, just check out these totally rad
And
shirts.
I can promise you that I've never bought a T-shirt from another gas station.
Now, I can't say the same because I've bought multiple T-shirts from gas stations.
I believe that.
I'm a big fan of gas stations and gas station food. Judge me if you will. Now, if you've ever been to Buc-ee's, drop an emoji about what you think Buc-ee's is like, because Buc-ee's is amazing.
Is there a beaver emoji?
There is a Buc-ee's. This is Buc-ee the beaver. Oh, it's just such a great place. It's a giant. If you don't know, it's a giant gas station, and there's 200 gas pumps, and it's like a Walmart-sized store, and they sell barbecue and donuts and
all sorts of Buc-ee's merch. I think we
so
got
much merch.
Isaac has a cup, a sippy cup.
I
We have a
swim
football. You got swim trunks.
And
We got
two
T-shirts.
shirts. I got so
Excessive,
many Buc-ee's outfits.
Yeah.
It was a little bit extra, but that's got to be one of my favorite youth camp memories.
And it's awesome because we will switch, so we'll do kind of more of a they're all fun, of course, but more of a fun service focused trip versus mission focused.
Right.
So we have been to Chicago, and the kids did a VBS or a neighborhood block party for the kids there, and so we've had different opportunities where they can serve. which the kids really enjoy, and it's really good to see them doing that too. So that's awesome.
That is true.
And then this year,
it's a fun trip.
Where are we going?
Well, it was
Where are we going? I don't know.
For youth camp. Where are we going for youth camp? We're going to Table Rock Lake, hanging out at a couple of lake houses.
Yep.
Spending some time on the water. Now, due to the coronavirus, obviously our camp looks a little bit different this year, but it's still going to be amazing. I wish we should have got some pictures of the places we're staying because it is beautiful. Yep. We're going to go to Fritz's Adventure. If you've ever been to Fritz's Adventure, you should let us know in the comments. Let us know because it's so great. We love Fritz's Adventure.
Or your favorite thing to do in Branson.
There we go. What's your favorite thing to do in Branson? Because we might have some free time that we're looking to kill.
Yep, we've got Fritz's Adventure, and then we've got a lake day.
Services every day. Devos. Oh man, it's going to be a great week.
It's going to be awesome.
This is my favorite part. We're splitting middle school and high school so that they're not completely together.
Yeah, we've done that.
Pretty
so
good, right?
My first camp to the Smoky Mountains, we did that.
They did that, right?
Yep. So we used to do camp like that where it was split high school, middle school. So right now we're doing it specifically because of the numbers that we're working with, but I think it'll be great.
I think it's going to be so good.
And the other added bonus, let's be honest, driving to Branson, Table Rock Lake is going to be a little bit easier than driving to Michigan.
You know, I don't think we're going to have to switch halfway through. Like if we just have one driver, I think they're going to be able to
handle it. And
I sure hope so.
You know what? We can probably also get from Springfield to Branson without a bathroom break. Maybe.
I'm not confident. But it would be amazing if we could.
Maybe
that
with
would
the
be
high school
good.
camp.
The high schoolers can do it. The middle schoolers, that's not going to happen. Hey, so
I got a shout out on here from Michael.
We got a shout out.
Is he in the room today?
Shout out to Molly Erickson. There it is. Thanks for joining us online, guys. # we love Molly. Okay. Feeling the love. New Life Online community. Feeling the love. Thanks, guys. Hey, so real quick, for the people who are in the auditorium with us, the people who are physically in the room right now, do us a favor and go to nlspringfield.com/June 28th. I think we've got an image of this link that we can bring up on the screens for you guys. nlspringfield.com/June 23rd. There it is, that link right there. So if you are in the room physically with us right now, go ahead, pull out your phone, and go to that link. So Molly, what's that link? I'm going to open it right now.
That is the registration link for services next week.
Whoa, wait, so you're telling me that in the room this week, I can register for next week?
That's what I'm telling you.
Are you okay?
It's live. So normally we don't post it. We don't make the link live until after services on Sunday.
That's true.
But next week is a special week. We've got some cool stuff going on.
We got some super cool. What's going on next week?
So Jordan Mueller, if we've got any Jordan Mueller fans, he's a musician. He's been here before.
Yeah, there we go.
He's awesome. He's going to be here next week with us. So he's going to be leading worship as well as performing one of his original songs. And then we will also have free snowballs for everyone.
Who's a snow cone fan? Better question, who's not a snow cone fan? Okay, there's a couple of non-snow. It's okay. We'll have things for you too. But snow cones,
Jordan Mueller's here.
Free snow cones for everybody. So what's that link one more time? nlspringfield.com/June 28th. Okay.
And we also have a Facebook event page. So be sure that you check it out on Facebook so that you can RSVP and invite your friends to do that too. But you have to register.
We still need pre-registrations.
Just like you have been.
Look at this, guys. I just opened this link on my phone, nlspringfield.com/June 28th. And I'm getting ready to register for service next weekend. How cool is that? I'm going to register right now.
So we've got Sheila watching.
Hey, good morning,
Miss Sheila. Cynthia watching, and she said that she loves you too.
Thank you.
So
thank you, Miss Cynthia.
She's feeling bad for you, I guess.
Love you, Miss Cynthia. Thanks. I'm going to register real quick here. I'm going to wait.
8 a.m. service. We're going to be here for 8 a.m. service.
We will be here for 8 a.m. We will be, because next weekend we're leaving for youth camp, but we will be here for the 8 a.m. service. That's good. That's good.
Yep.
So I'm going to register myself and my wife. That's 2 registrations.
And as a reminder,
for 8 a.m.
when you're registering, You can register for everything there. So
Boom.
all at once.
Complete registration.
See how easy that was?
I know that you guys online, you can see my phone screen, so this is super helpful.
Super helpful. But you can register for big services. You can register for
kids,
preschool, all of that stuff. So make sure that you do that.
And if somehow you manage to register for youth that Sunday, it just means you're coming to camp with us.
Surprise.
It's going to be a great weekend, and we cannot wait. Okay, guys, so pre-registrations, that's the most important thing that we mentioned for those of us who are gathered here in the room. And for any of our friends who are joining us online, if you're at a point now where you are able to return to church, then we can't wait. But if you are returning, once again, just make sure that you pre-register for service, and preferably, if possible, register for the 8 or for the 11. That makes more room at 9:30 for all of our incredible guests.
Especially next week. I think we'll probably have a lot of guests because of free snow cones and Jordan Mueller.
It's going to be so much fun next weekend. Hey, then one more thing for those of us who are online and who are in the room, as far as giving, don't forget that we have made opportunities for you to give, even though our services are structured slightly differently. So you can give online by visiting giving.nlspringfield.com, or you can text to give. Now let's see, Molly, do you remember this link? Or the number. The number, there we go.
You can text 84321.
Boom.
Had to practice that a few weeks now.
84321
with the amount that you want to give.
That is correct.
It'll send you a link. You complete it. Boom. Done.
Done. And then for those of us who are just here physically in the auditorium together, we have made a way for you to give as well. There's a giving receptacle located in the center of the main lobby.
Yep, right on your way out.
Don't forget to give on your way out.
And we talked briefly about the car wash.
Oh, yes.
About why you were dressed like this.
For those of us who have just made it in the room, those of us who have just joined in online, why are we dressed like this one more time?
Well, because 1, we look awesome.
Because we look cool.
2,
Number 2,
we have a car wash.
Because the car wash is happening as we speak. Phenomenal youth leaders, students.
The kids outside washing cars.
Hosing down cars.
We are raising money for camp.
We are raising money for youth camp, which is happening next week. And we can't wait for youth camp. Hey, so real quick, before we close down this pre-service hangout, anybody in the room, anybody who is in our live audience, want to give anyone else online a shout out? Any shout outs to family, to friends, to our online community? Any shout outs?
Or favorite
youth camp trips? Any shout outs? I'm going to give my dog a shout out because consecutively for the past 3 weeks at least, I have given my dog Willow a shout out. Shout out to Willow. Love you. I miss you. Can't wait to go on a walk later.
Every time I hear you say that, I picture your dog sitting at home in front of the TV.
She's listening. She knows.
She's got like her coffee.
Yeah.
Watching TV.
Just like everybody who's joining us for online service.
Waiting for a shout out.
She's waiting for her shout out. Well, hey guys, if there aren't any other shout outs, we want to say thank you so much for joining us for service this morning. It's going to be a great, great day. And don't forget one more time to pre-register for next weekend.
nlspringfield.com/June 28.
We love you guys and have a great service.
failing. Do you believe it this morning?
You are here, moving in the darkness is my God. That is who you are. Sing, you are here. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. And I worship you. I worship you. You are here. You're turning lives around. And I worship you. I worship you. You are here. You're mending every heart. And I worship you. I worship you. For you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Yes, that is who you are. 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 Waymaker. That is who you are. That is who you are. Oh, that is who you You're my God, and that is who you are. You never fail me, Jesus, 'cause that is who you are.
Come on, sing with me. Even when I don't see it. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. Never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. Never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. Never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when that is who you are. Come on, sing it one more time. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are.
God, we're thankful that even when we don't see it, you're working. That God, that we're not always going to understand what you're doing, that we're not always going to understand our circumstances, but the beauty of who you are is that if we know you, we can know that we're okay. That if we know you, we know that we have one who we can trust, who makes a way where there is no way. And so, Father, I lift up my friends this morning. God, I just imagine there are probably some of us here, maybe watching online or maybe in the room, who honestly, they need you to make a way where it feels like there's no way. God, would you give them confidence right now that you are the way maker? God, would you give them confidence right now that you have them and that they can trust in you? God, you're faithful, and we look to you. And God, as we do, we look to you confidently, knowing Jesus, the Son of God, who died for our sins. And so we pray confidently in his name. Amen. 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 You can look around, tell someone not to touch you, and then have a seat. I don't know why, but that always makes me laugh. Hey, so next week is going to be a lot of fun. We are really looking forward to it. It's kind of our summer kickoff of sorts is what we're called. I don't know what the name of it is on social media, but we're really looking forward to it. It's going to, we're going to do a couple things that are going to be just fun. And part of our strategy here is that we want to create space where people feel comfortable to bring and invite people to come and be part of our services. So we try to create things where it would be easy for one to say, hey, why don't you come with me to this thing? This would be kind of cool. And so so in that spirit or in that idea, what we're doing next week is we're going to have my friend Jordan. He's going to come and he's going to lead worship. He's a Nashville recording artist. He's come here before. He's going to lead worship. And then at our parking lot, after each service, he's going to be doing some of his original music. So it'll be really fun, kind of a cool feel. And then for every single person in attendance in all of our services, all three, we're going to give away free Snowballs snow cones. And if you haven't had them, they're actually the best shaved ice in town. I don't know what makes them different, but something makes them different, and they're better. And so they're going to come here, and we'll give a free snow cone to everybody who is here. And you can help us out by registering. But here's part of how, I don't know, the thought behind it, okay? We don't know how long, like, social distancing is going to be a reality. But we also know that God has given us this calling to help people know Jesus better. And so we want to effectively do that, but also, like, follow the law. And so this weekend, we're really wanting to test our systems a little bit as we head into the fall to kind of see what we need. If, like, this service, for instance, I know some people didn't show up for their RSVPs, and you can actually look at their names on their table. But this service actually filled up at 9. It filled up on like Friday morning. So there are people who came on the website who looked to register, and the service was full, and that's totally cool. Like we were down, we want them to be full, but one of the ways that you can help us as we move into some of these other things is if you would consider attending our 8 o'clock service or also attending our 11 o'clock service. What it does is it creates space, and something about having space or the opportunity for people to attend somewhere else, there's something about it being open. Like, there is a chance there probably were people who got online, wanted to come, they didn't come because there wasn't any seats available at 9:30, and so we want to help as many people know Jesus better as possible. But I say, if this is the only service that works for you, I would much rather see you than not see you. So don't do that thing where you're like, oh, I'm not going to take up a seat. No, don't do that. Like, I want to see you. Come in. If this is the only one that works, this is the only one that works, and we want to see that. But we're really looking forward to this weekend because it's going to help us kind of see how we can approach the fall. If we need to consider doing a third service or a fourth service or whatever, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but we're looking forward to it. So it's Father's Day, and there's this, like, I saw this, it was like a meme floating around about what they do in churches, and it's kind of funny because we're doing the exact same thing, where on Mother's Day, you get like 5 reasons why your mom's the best mom ever. And then like Father's Day is like 10 ways you can be a better dad. Like it's kind of funny how that goes. And so like for us, now Mother's Day was a drive-in service, but Mother's Day we're like, hey, we're gonna talk about the Queen of Sheba. She met Solomon, and she was this really godly woman that we can emulate, and there's family pictures, and it's just like, oh, this is fun. And Father's Day, we're looking at Ecclesiastes chapter 12, where essentially it just says, you're going to die, and this is what it's going to be like when you die. So happy Father's Day. It's okay. I think it's good to look at this stuff. We're giving you a car wash as our way of saying sorry. But hey, we are glad to have you here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And so when you do what I do for a living, you have to start trying to find like metaphors and illustrations just about anywhere that you can. Like when I get up here and I speak, I have about 2,500 to 3,000 words depending on the topic. And so you do that 45 times a year, like that's a ton of words and a ton of pages. And so you really have to like search for ways to like help for ways to make the text connect. And so one of the ways over the years where I have found inspiration is when I listen to people who don't know Jesus express a longing that Jesus answers. And sometimes I find it so interesting because I'm like, man, if only someone would tell this person, like, there's an answer to what you're saying. And one of the places where I found this particularly over the years has been, honestly, with music. And there's this song, it's called 7 Years by Lucas Graham. Maybe some of you are familiar with it. Came out probably like 5 or 6 years ago. And it's a very interesting song, but the song is Lucas Graham looking at his life. And as he looks at his life, he gets to the end. And when he gets to the end, he asks a question. And it's a question that the book of Ecclesiastes actually addresses, but this is the question that he asks. He says, soon I'll be 60 years old. I think when he wrote this song, he was probably in his early 20s. Will I think the world is cold, or will I have a lot of children who can warm me? It's not talking about physical warmth, it's talking about the warmth that you feel in your heart. Soon I will be 60 years old. Now, he's looking at his life and he's saying, okay, so when I am 60, how am I going to see the world? Am I going to be that person? And we've met these people, right, who at the end of their lives, they're full of joy. You're just like, man, I just like to be around them. Like there's like just this joy that you feel when you come into prison. There's some that you don't, right? Like there's some you meet and you're like, oh. And he's like, what am I going to be? And the book of Ecclesiastes, in Ecclesiastes 12, verses 1 through 8, what it shows us is it shows us why people, once they reach a certain point in their life, why they think the world is cold. And it's because there's something about age and adding years that makes life more difficult. And so the author of Ecclesiastes, who we believe is Solomon, he's writing this at the end of his life, at the end of his reign as king, and he looks at life as it's coming to the end, and he pens these verses. And I want to read them to you. I'm going to read them to you all as a whole because they're poetic, and I want you to kind of feel the poetry, and then we'll go through line by line and just look at what he has to say. But this is Ecclesiastes 12, verses 1 through 8. It says, remember also your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come and the years draw near, of which you will say, I have no pleasure in them. Before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars are darkened and the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keeper of the house tremble and the strong men are bent, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those who look through the windows are dimmed. And the doors on the street are shut when the sound of the grinding is low, and one rises up at the sound of a bird, and all the daughters of a song are brought low. They are afraid of what is high and the tares in the way. The almond tree blossoms, and the grasshopper drags itself along. And desire fails because man is going to his eternal home, and the mourners go about the streets. Before the silver cord is snapped, or the golden bowl is broken, or the pitcher is shattered at the fountain, or the wheel is broken at the cistern. And the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to the God who gave it. Vanity of vanity, says the preacher, all his vanity. This is Solomon at the end of his life, kind of looking at his body, looking at what's coming, just aware of a reality that is before him. And it's tough. And it's tough because we've been asking the question, well, what is life? What is life? How do I find meaning? How do I find purpose? And the truth is that you can't answer that question without looking at the end. And this is something that we like to avoid. That even in the medical community, that when someone dies, doctors are instructed in using the word death or dead, because if those words aren't used, people will want to argue with the diagnosis, and there's no arguing with that diagnosis. They'll think that there's more that could have been done. And so those words, they help people see the reality of what has happened. And so Solomon, he paints this picture, this harsh reality, and the hope is that as we look at this text, that we would finish with longing that our hearts would return to the God who made us. That this is what he wants us to do. But in order to see this text, so we're going to get to the good part, okay? We're going to finish by talking about the good part. But to get to the good part, you got to realize how bad the bad part is. And so we're just going to kind of drill this hole in this bad part, and then I promise it's going to zoom out and you're going to be okay, but it's going to get kind of dark, and that's going to be all right. So first, let's just look at the harsh reality that is presented here in the text. First, if you look at verse 1, it says, "Remember also your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come and the years draw near, of which you say, I have no pleasure in them." That Solomon, last week we talked about what he said when he said, "Rejoice in your youth, let your heart cheer you in the days of your youth." And the idea here is that this is something that you want to learn when you're young, because it's going to become more and more challenging to do the older you get. That if you can figure out how to do this when you're young, when life gets more challenging, you're going to have that muscle exercise and you're going to know what to do. Because the truth of our existence is that our bodies decay. That I think that Puff Daddy would say, "Mo birthdays, mo problems." There's something about age that comes and it's just it's hard. And I think that Solomon is using hyperbole here when he says that there's no pleasure in the years when you see the end coming. But he's just saying, train yourself to be aware of your Creator. Train yourself to be aware of the one who made you. And just so we're clear, that's Jesus Christ. He is the one who can help you get through those years. Because what we see here is there are some challenges that come. I mean, one of them you see there in verse 2 where he says, "Before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars are darkened and the clouds return after the rain." This is Solomon at the end of his life as a king, possibly the greatest king in the history of Israel. And he's looking at his life and he's realizing, when I die, I will be forgotten like everyone else. He's realizing that when I die, life will continue to move on without me, even though I've been so great. I don't know if you've ever experienced anything, it's like something tragic in your life, but isn't it hard when you do and you interact with people who just are living their life like nothing happened? Like you experience something that you're going to remember the rest of your life. And you're interacting with someone who, and it's like you don't even realize what just happened to me. I remember when my cousin passed away. It was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And my sister and I, we went right after church to Weeping Water, Nebraska. It's a town of about 1,000 people. And because it's about a 5.5-hour drive, we wore comfortable clothes on our way to see my cousin's visitation. And we get in Weeping Water, Nebraska. There's one gas station in town, and my cousin was young, and so it was very tragic that he passed. And we go in the gas station to get dressed to go to this visitation, and we walk in, and it was weird. Because when we walked in, the clerk is sitting there watching court TV. There are kids just running around trying to figure out what type of candy they want, trying to negotiate with their parents, maybe the ability to get 2 pieces of candy. You've got a guy who is looking at the refrigerator, stressing way too much over what type of Powerade he should be drinking. And I walk in, and my heart's heavy because I'm getting ready to face the fact that my cousin isn't around anymore. And in his town, people are completely unscathed. But that's some of what Solomon's talking about. That the older you get, that as life moves on, you're going to experience moments like that. Where you think everything should stop because everything stops for you, but it doesn't stop for everyone else. It's tough. But the sun will continue to rise, the clouds will continue to give rain. And so he looks at that, and then he shifts and he starts talking not just about like this general thing, but our bodies. And look at what he says. He says, in the days when the keepers of the house tremble, and the strong men are bent, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those who look through the windows are dimmed, and the doors of the street are shut. When the sound of the grinding is low, and one rises up at the sound of the bird, and all the daughters of songs are brought low. Most commentators would agree this is talking about different parts of our body. He's using illustrations to talk about kind of what happens to your body with age. There where he talks about the keepers of the house tremble, he's talking about how as you get older, your hands that used to be steady, they start to shake. I don't know if you're familiar with the show Downton Abbey. That's how this show ends with Carson. That he's unable to do the job that he loved to do because he was no longer able to do it, and it was because his hands shook. That with age, you used to be able to keep it steady, but you can't. It also talks about how strong men are bent. And the picture there is that the older you get, the more your body isn't able to handle its weight. And so where you used to be able to walk upright with no issue, now your posture looks different. And he's like, that's something that you can expect with age. And then he talks about the grinders cease their grinding. He's talking about your teeth. And thank God that we live in 2020 where like there's advances in modern dentistry. But back then there wasn't. And so your teeth would just fall out. And it's hard to eat without teeth, or at least that's what I've been told. Someone said amen. I'm sorry. And then he says the windows of your eye, or your windows are dimmed. He's talking about how your eyesight goes away. This is not only just something that you see in the Old Testament that he's talking about. This is a reality that I'm sure a lot of us have experienced, but this is something that the New Testament doesn't shy away from either. Look at what Paul says in 2 Corinthians chapter 4. He says that our outer self is wasting away. And it doesn't matter how old you are. You've experienced this, right? I remember, like, not that long ago, I had to office from home. And I remember I sat in my kitchen. I officed 8 hours a day in my kitchen, on my kitchen chair. Didn't think anything of it. Until about, I don't know, 2 days into it, I realized that those chairs, you're not meant to sit on those all day. Like, I remember I woke up on, like, Thursday morning, and I'm like, why is my back on fire? I haven't done anything. I've been home. And why is this hurting my knee? Because you're not made to do that. Like, you're not made to sit there. A couple weeks ago, I painted my shed. And I used a small brush to get the corners. It looks horrible, but that's okay. It's a shed. No one cares. So, like, I remember at the end of it, my hand was shaking. Like, there were things I couldn't open because my hand had to, like, get used to that. I used a roller to paint the big parts, and I woke up and my shoulder was hurt. That this is part of age. Like, this is what happens. The things that you used to be able to do, you know, you're not able to do them in the same way. And that's what I'm talking about eating. I used to be able to eat whatever I wanted. And now if I have Chinese food for lunch, I have to take a nap. Like, I don't know why, but it's just something I got to do. And this is what he's saying. Like, this is what you can expect. Happy Father's Day. That our outer self is wasting away. And then he points out this thing, and I think this is just Solomon, like, poking at you. Okay, look at this, what he says about the one rises up at the sound of the bird. He says, and the doors on the street are shut when the grinding is low and one rises up at the sound of the bird. He's saying, okay, so you're going to get older. You're not going to hear as well. You're going to have a lot of conversations that are you going, sorry, what? Excuse me? I'm sorry, what? And you're going to struggle. You're going to have to learn how to read lips. But in the morning, when you want to sleep, that bird's going to wake you up outside your window. He's like, it doesn't make sense. Where it would be an advantage is no longer an advantage. He's like, this is what. He just keeps going. Look at this in verse 5. He says, and then they're also afraid of what is high. And terrors are in the way. The almond tree blossoms. The grasshopper drags itself along. Desire fails because man is going to his eternal home. And the mourners go about the streets. Before the silver cord is snapped, or the golden bowl is broken, or the pitcher is shattered at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern. He's talking about being up on high. He's talking about the fear of falling. We were talking to a teaching team, and someone said, they were like, I didn't realize why it was such a big deal when I was a kid when someone called and said, Grandma fell. I had a conversation actually with my father-in-law yesterday, and he was talking about his grandmother, and he said that she was perfectly fine, strong as an ox until she fell. And when she did, that was the beginning of the end of her life. But the picture here, it talks about that word terrors. What's the terror talking about? It's talking about how things that you used to just be able to move past, you can't move past them anymore. Things that used to not be a big deal are now fatal. They're now devastating. They bring weight. There's a different thing that comes with them. That's the picture. He's saying, you're going to realize that you're not the person you used to be. I really like the way that Derek Kidner, in his commentary on the book of Ecclesiastes, explains verse 6. And just look at this here. He says, the pictures of verse 6 capture the beauty and the fragility of the human frame. A masterpiece as delicately wrought as any work of art, yet breakable as a piece of earthenware, and as useless in the end as a broken wheel. I'm going to argue this is the beauty of the book. Because who do you trust? Do you trust the person who looks at you in the face when you know everything is falling apart and says, it's okay? Or do you trust the person who looks at you in the face and says, nope, this is really hard? This is Solomon. He's looking at you, and he loves you enough to tell you the truth. And as we look at what he is saying, here's what we see. That life under the sun, without the sun, is going to have ups, and it's going to have downs, and it's going to end in despair. The nice thing for us is we have the gospel. That without the gospel, this is not a great, but with the gospel, with the blanks that we're able to fill in about Jesus Christ, this text that is a downer becomes something that's actually pretty beautiful. And so let's look at the gospel's hope. So you see a little bit of the scarlet thread here in the first verse of this section, and in the last verse. Look at this here. It says, remember your Creator in the days of your youth. And then he says that the Spirit returns to the God who gave it. Now, as it's talking about remembering, our language doesn't capture it necessarily like it does in the original Hebrew. And the idea there is actually far stronger in the original. This is the way the commentator Derek Kidner says it. He says, for our part, to remember him is no perfunctory or purely mental act. It is to drop our pretense of self-sufficiency and commit ourselves to him. That it talks about doing this in the days of your youth, but this is a good muscle to develop when you're young, because when you get older, it's going to be more of a challenge, because you have more things that will be maybe difficult to wrap your mind around. And the reason why there's such an emphasis on youth, it helps you to see why we care so much about kids and youth ministry. Because we want them to learn these things when they're young, so that when they're older and things become difficult, just naturally difficult, they've learned to remember their Creator in the days of their youth. It's not just worth your youth, it's worth all of your life. And the way that we do this now is we do this by putting our hope in Jesus Christ. That we do this now through a relationship with him. And really what this text, this harsh reality, should cause us to look at is it should cause us to evaluate, okay, where are we with him? How are things with us in Jesus? And really the way you evaluate it is by looking at your relationship with him. How is it doing? Would you say that when you think about your life, is there a part of you that looks at it and realizes that you'll never be able to live up to God's standard? How do you respond to that? Do you respond to that by justifying behaviors that don't please him? Do you respond to that by making all kinds of excuses? Or do you look at him and look at you and say, dear God, forgive me of my sins? Jesus, you were perfect when I'm not. Forgive me. But here's the thing, this is where a lot of times people stop. But you got to ask yourself, do you live your life in a way that says, I prayed that and I meant it? Do you live your life in a way that says, Jesus is my king and I'll do whatever he says, and when I don't, I'm going to ask him to forgive me for not doing it? And then you got to look and you got to say, okay, so where is your hope? The text is saying, don't put it in your body. Where is your hope? Is your hope that there was a man who lived a perfect life and died on a cross for you, and that in his death he conquered something that you couldn't have conquered, which is death, and because he did, you'll be able to do the same? That when we talk about remembering him, that is the picture. That is how we do that in the New Testament. That is how we do that with the lens of the gospel. And if we do that, this text that's a bummer, that's difficult, that's like, oh man, really? It actually ends up being kind of beautiful and amazing. I'll put that verse back up from 1 Corinthians where it says the reality that that they're talking about, where it says our outer self is wasting away. No one questions that. It's a bummer. Some of you might even be feeling that right now. But that's actually not the whole story that Paul's telling there. It's part of it. But look at how he surrounds it with the gospel. In verse 16, he says, so we do not lose heart. Like everything that we talked about in Ecclesiastes is reason to lose heart. But Paul says we don't lose heart. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. It's like, yep, your outer self, it's gonna decay. Yep, it's gonna. But here's the beauty of the gospel: is that inwardly, Christ, through the power of the Holy Spirit, can renew you. Look at this: for this light and momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. And as we look not to the things that are seen, but to things that are unseen. Our body is something that's seen. But because of the gospel, we can look to things that are unseen. For things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. We've like everything around us is reason to lose heart. Everything around us is reason to give up, to be hopeless. But Paul's able to say, no, there's more. And because of your hope that there is more, you can look at the grim reality of all of our fate, and you can do so that says, I want my spirit to go to the God who made it. I love this quote from Thomas Boston as I close. He says this. He says, in the day of his birth, he was born to die. And in the day of his death, he dies to live. That this is our hope. This is why we can look head first at something that is incredibly challenging. And we can do so with joy. Because we can know that when we die, it's not like everybody else. But that we have a hope that goes beyond us. And if that's where we are, then that day comes when we get older. We don't have to think that the world is cold. But instead we'll have a gospel that can warm us. So where is your hope? Where do you put your trust? When there's nowhere else to turn, where do you turn? When you have nothing else to think about, where do you think about? When you tell yourself that everything is going to be okay, why do you tell yourself that everything is going to be okay? If it's not Jesus, then there's no guarantee. Would you pray with me? Father, we love you.
Hey, New Life, thank you so much for joining us for our online service today. As for you guys, as part of our audience, we want to do something special that would help you feel like you are right here in this building. So in just a few moments, as our audience is exiting from service, we're going to grab a few people to do some exit interviews, give you guys some online shout outs so you feel like you are just as much part of what we are doing as the people who are in this room. But in the meantime, wanted to remind you guys of a few things that are coming up. Number one, wanted to wish all the dads out there a very happy Father's Day.
Hope it's
awesome.
awesome.
So much.
Hope your kids are nice to you.
Yes. Hope they write you cards and give you things.
Give you cool stuff.
And
let you take naps.
And let you take naps in your recliner with a root beer and make barbecue. That's all. That's how I envision. Like, I'm not a dad, but that's what I envision like Father's Day being about.
What's Willow doing for you for Father's Day?
I hopefully not having any accidents in her crate. That'd be good.
A dog.
That'd be
for the
that's my
record,
dog,
if you missed
not
that.
my daughter. I don't have a daughter named Willow. I have a dog named Willow. Let's see, guys. Hey, real quick. I know that most of you were able to view service online, but if you're tuning in right now from Facebook Live or from YouTube or maybe online, we just wanted to remind you what Pastor Ryan said in his sermon. It's so important for our lives is that we can't afford to waste the time that we're given right here and right now. That life is short, and that we have to use wisdom and applying wisdom to our everyday lives that we have right here in front of us. Let's see, what else do we have? Molly, hey, if you're watching online, comment with your favorite quote, there's a lot of quotes this morning, your favorite line from service, or your favorite emoji that sums up our services this morning.
Yep. We are also doing our car wash.
Yes, car wash.
So we have our youth kids washing cars outside to raise money for youth camp, which we
right.
leave for in
Next
1 week.
Weekend, 7 days away. I cannot even
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be so much. I think we're going to grab a couple of our car washers so they can say hi to you guys.
Yep.
Hey, let's see. Who should we grab? We're working on a couple of students to get in for this interview here. It looks like we've got two, at least one. Let's see. You guys want to do an interview?
Come on over.
Online interview. Hello. So how many cars did you wash this morning?
None.
So
None.
what were you doing outside?
Holding a
Holding
sign.
a sign. What did that sign say?
important.
Car wash.
It said car wash.
And how
That's
did
right.
people receive that sign as they pulled in?
They knew there was a car wash.
Boom.
Job done.
helping students know Jesus better
Thanks.
by raising money through this incredible car wash. There's so many cool things that are happening this weekend and next weekend.
Next weekend, we are going to do a couple different things. So we have Jordan Mueller coming next weekend. So next Sunday, 3 services. You have to pre-register. So we'll have Jordan Mueller here. He will lead worship, and then he will also sing an original song. And then we will have free snowballs for everyone, too. So be sure and RSVP on Facebook and register at nlspringfield.com/June 28th.
That is right. We've also got our lead pastor, Ryan Godin, here. Would you like to say hi?
Yeah, I'd love to say hi. So it's kind of funny because I'm looking at this screen.
And you're not
I'm looking at the screen, and you're literally behind. There I am walking on the screen right now. This is amazing. And this is
magic.
how it's magic, how it all works. So, hey, just want to say, so good to see you. I guess I don't see you guys, but so good that you see us. And thanks so much for watching online. Man, let us know you're watching in the comments below. We're so glad to be able to provide this for you. And man, next week's going to be a lot of fun. So you're going to enjoy watching it there, or if you feel comfortable coming in, you're going to enjoy being here. But man, it's so cool to get to be here. And yeah, I'm trying to think of something to say for filler. But
Well, you haven't been talking at all this morning yet.
yeah,
so
I know. I'm just glad that people
Just start over.
I'm just glad that people stayed till the end because man, that was a downer, huh? Yeah.
Womp, womp.
Happy Father's Day. hey, happy Father's Day. Though seriously, love you guys. That's all I got.
Thank you so much, Pastor Ryan. Hey, guys, well, in just a few moments, I think we're going to have some of our audience who are exiting. But until then, if there anyone online who would like to give some of our in-person guests a shout-out, maybe if you've got family here, drop their names
Give
in the
them a
comments.
shout-out.
We'll see if we can wrangle them over here for you to say hi to.
Chelsea, come on over.
There we go. Oh, look, it's my friend Chelsea. Chelsea, would you
Your
like to say
friend.
hi to our New Life community?
Hi, New Life community.
You did awesome at worship this morning,
Thanks. 3 services was a lot.
but you did it. Almost. 2 out of 3.
Almost, yep.
Thanks for saying hi. Hey guys, service has just finished up. Our guests are going to be heading out into the lobby in just a minute. Before they do, we wanted to remind you that you can also give online. Even if you're not here with us physically in the building, you can still give by visiting giving.nlspringfield.com or by texting
84321 with whatever amount you want to give.
That is
You'll get
correct.
a link back to be able to finish the donation. You'll be all
That's
set.
correct.
Hey, what do we have here,
let's
Adam?
grab some. Look, it's my friend Adam Meacham. Would you like to say hi?
Okay.
I won.
So this is good. We said we were going to give away a Bass
Check
Pro
this
gift
out.
card in every service. And I've got 2 of the winners right here,
We've
you
got
guys.
2 winners right here on camera with us.
It's
Guys, what would
true.
you like to say to New Life Church?
Oh, thank you. I love Bass Pro. Thank you, Johnny Morris, for opening Bass. Oh, it's not that kind of.
I'm wearing a Bass Pro hat. I mean, I love Bass Pro.
We love Bass Pro here at New Life as well. Thank you guys so much for being
Congratulations,
great
dads.
dads. 2 of the best dads I know
They're
right
good
there
ones.
on camera. Let's see who else can we grab. Hey, Aiden Monroe.
got his headphones
Aiden
in.
Monroe's got his AirPods in. Missed it.
Lauren, come
there
on
we
over.
go. We've got my friend Lauren Perriman. Lauren, would you like
Lauren,
to give
you
our
wanna-
online community a shout out?
Hi. How's it going?
And you had your dad with you for Father's Day.
Did. That's my dad right there.
And he's
the
refusing to get on
best.
camera. But he has complimented the
Lauren's
beard.
dad just said that my beard looks nice, and that is the greatest thing ever.
No, he really needs to cut it. Comment below if you think that Ryan Z should cut his beard off.
There will be no comments below, hopefully. Let's see. Anybody else making their way out? I think that's almost all of our guests. Well, hey, guys, we wanted to say thank you one last time for joining us online. Don't forget, if you're making your way to service, to pre-register. But other than that,
Pre-register, nlspringfield.com/June 28. Be sure and pre-register and RSVP on the Facebook page.
On Facebook.
And have an awesome Father's Day.
See you next week, guys.